You ready to get started?
Oh, yeah. Hello, and welcome to Parenthesis.
Hey, we're back. It's Parenthesis. It's been a while.
Yeah.
We had a baby.
Yep.
Siege is also a baby.
Yeah. He's definitely making himself available to be in this episode.
Yeah, he's here. He's ready to record.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, it's been 3 weeks to the day. We had Arlo 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And you know, the semester is still going, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
That's a little more than halfway done as well.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's getting scary.
I know. I realized last week that we were at the halfway point through the semester, and that was upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well,
What should we talk about?
I thought we could talk a bit about the delivery if you wanted to.
Sure.
Maybe it's been long enough that you feel like you can talk about it, or I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
Thoughts about that?
Yeah, we can talk about it. I mentioned that I wanted to write this down so that I could remember it, but it's probably even better if I just say the stuff, here.
Right.
Where should we begin? Let's go back to Wednesday night.
Yeah, I guess Thursday really was the first.
Right.
You started having contractions on Wednesday, but then Thursday was when they really started to be regular.
Yeah.
And we went to the hospital, and they told us to go home.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of, that day it sounded like, oh, well, you should try to, readjust how you're thinking about this pain. So on Thursday, when we went, I reported my pain as an 8, and then the person there said that you should readjust your pain scale and think of this as a 5, right? Because it's going to get so much worse.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of like, if you want to stay, you could, but, we don't really think that you're ready.
And you wouldn't get to eat.
And I wouldn't get to eat, which was a big concern of mine, so went home.
Yeah.
And then similar thing happened on Friday. I felt like I was in even more pain on Friday. Went again, and same thing happened, oh, we don't think that you're ready, so you can stay or go home. And again, wanted to go home. And I was getting irritated on Thursday and Friday because I felt like every time we got to the hospital, my contractions would slow down or decrease in severity. And so when they were monitoring me,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it wasn't showing up as intense as it was feeling at home.
Yeah.
So that was really frustrating. But on Friday, also remember how, we got there and then we decided against, just saying, yes, I want to stay anyway.
Right.
So we left, and, as we got off the elevator downstairs, I, had a really bad contraction, and those 2 employees were like, ma'am, are you okay?
Yeah,
do you need a wheelchair?
Right. They wanted to make sure that you weren't, so they didn't know we had just come down from...
Yeah, I don't even think it wouldn't have made sense in the moment to be look, we were just up in labor and delivery. They said we don't have to stay,
Right.
It's just being weird. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that was frustrating. And then I had a really, really terrible night on Friday night. I was waking up, every 30 minutes. I mean, not that I was waking up. I don't even know if I really got any sleep. I kept getting up out of bed, every 30 minutes because the contractions were so bad. And staying laying down was just extra horrible. These dogs are
they just won't stop.
Yeah, we're just going to have to roll with it. Rosie's decided at, nearly 9 p.m. that she's going to have the dinner that was served to her at 6.
Yeah, now is dinner time now that we're doing this.
And Siege is very cutely sitting next to her while she eats.
Just watching. Oh my god.
Alright, so anyway, Friday night was horrible.
Yeah.
I was so exhausted the next morning. But I seemed to get a little bit of relief.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I actually got some sleep between like 5 and 7 a.m.
And then we went to breakfast Saturday morning, and you seemed fine, and kind of thought, oh, like maybe it's going to be another week.
Right,
because...
like this was just full-on false labor, like this is what people always talk about. But really it was just that morning where I had some relief, because then shortly after breakfast, I felt like my contractions just picked back up, and then in the evening they got really bad, and I was thinking I really wanted to stay home again, because I was like, I refuse to go there and get sent back home.
Like, third time would be pretty.
Third time was just gonna make me feel so stupid. But there just came a point that evening where, like, I couldn't handle it. It was just really, really bad. So we went, and they admitted me.
We got admitted around like 10:30 or 11. Something like that. And then, I don't know, do you want to, like...
Well, we can, like, just, I mean, so, you know, the check-in process was pretty quick and easy. You know, we moved upstairs to where, or not up, we did go upstairs to where, you know, we were actually in a delivery room. Well, I guess, you know, they gave me the epidural. So
really the next thing that happened was like we got in there and situation. It was like ready for the epidural.
So I mean, previously the dogs are just like starving and so thirsty.
At this very moment is the time for them to just like chow down as loudly as possible.
This is the stuff that my mom says, leave it in. She likes these sounds.
It just drives me absolutely nuts. I can't stand it.
The sounds, not my mom saying.
Right.
So...
Alright, so we get
epidural.
In, and you get the epidural. And you
previously, you know, when we're coming up with the birth plan and everything, I was like, oh, you know, I want to use laughing gas to help me through contractions, and then I just want to be talking with the nurse and have them let me know, you know, when is it time to get an epidural. But I was in so much pain that I skipped right over laughing gas and was like, hell no, I need the epidural, you know, now.
Immediately,
so really it happened very quickly once we got upstairs. The anesthesiologist came and you know, hooked it up with the epidural. And, you know, important note, the first, you know, the first way that pain medicine was administered... Okay, the first way that the pain medicine was administered was manually through a syringe.
Right.
So the anesthesiologist had a syringe, and she put it in the line, you know, the epidural line. And so that instantly made me feel so much more relaxed. I finally felt some relief.
I think you even dozed off for a little bit.
I think I had like at least an hour nap, which was really nice because I had not really slept. And so that was great. And then I woke up and you were sleeping, and when I woke up I felt like I was just like having contractions again. And it hurt. Like I felt like it hurt. But there was a little, I mean, it wasn't that bad right then to where, you know, I didn't know what was about to happen, basically. So, luckily, our doctor was on call that night. She, you know, gave the green light to break my water and to start Pitocin, and so you were asleep for the water breaking part, and they started the Pitocin, but they had to stop it, like, I don't know.
Pretty quickly.
It felt like 10 minutes, after they started it.
Mm-hmm.
They had to stop it because my contractions were horrible. They were extremely close together, and it was the worst pain that I had had yet. Yeah, so it really hurt.
Yeah.
And, the nurse even said, "Oh, I feel like we're just torturing you at this point.
Yeah.
So we should stop this."
Right.
I just wasn't getting breaks in between contractions, so It was like I could kind of feel the rise and the fall of it, but right as it's falling, it just would spike back up again.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you were awake at that point, but I woke you up because I was like...
It was like 1:30 or 2, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I was just like, I need you.
Yeah.
I can't be awake by myself because I'm starting to panic.
Yeah.
And I started to panic because I was like, I thought that I was not going to be in pain.
Yeah, right.
Except for I was in the most pain I had ever been in at that point.
Yeah.
So anyway, meanwhile, the epidural machine is beeping and showing this error message, and, the nurse is getting really frustrated because she can't figure out what is going on. Yeah. So she's like, pressing buttons, and she changes the pump, and...
Yep. Calls the anesthesiologist back.
Yeah.
I think that person actually changed the pump.
Oh,
but,
okay. Yeah, the anesthesiologist comes back, and I guess you saw her give me another...
She gave you another syringe.
Manual,
at that point.
Dose via the syringe.
Yep.
Which, again, helped... I mean, it didn't help for an hour. It helped for, like, a couple of minutes, probably.
Yeah.
Because then I was just in a world of pain again.
Yeah. Because I think they assumed that you were still getting...
Yeah.
the dose from the pump, but I don't know, it seemed pretty clear that whatever was wrong with the pump, and also the second pump, was just that you weren't getting any, or you were getting such a small amount that it was like not actually having any real effect. So she didn't want to give you a huge dose because she assumed that you were already getting some.
Yeah. And I mean, they kind of mentioned, like, at the beginning, they mentioned, oh, you're going to get the epidural and your legs are going to be a little numb, but you still might be able to move a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it was like, I had full feeling in my left leg, and my, right thigh felt numb. But every time I needed to move in bed, I was able to move. Every time they needed me to, scoot down or scoot up, like, I was able to, like, lift myself up and, like, do all of this stuff. And so... Yeah. I was just really surprised at how much I was feeling, and they were like, well, are you sure that you're in pain? Or is this just pressure? And I was like, I think I'm in pain, I mean, look, I've seen videos of women with epidurals, and they look like they're smiling, and they are relaxed, and they're, feeling contractions still, but... I mean, I was just completely panicked.
Yeah.
And
I still can't get over the fact that they asked you if you were sure you were in pain, given how we usually talk about pain as the example of the mental state that, like...
that I'm supposed to,
it's so supposed to be, like, transparent to you. Like, yeah, it's just true that you're in pain if you believe you are, or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in pain, but I don't believe it, or something. Like, that's incredible.
So anyway, it really hurt, and, I wasn't... Basically, it felt like nothing had really gone the way that I thought it would, or that I wanted it to. Yeah. Which, thank goodness, we aren't, we didn't have tons of plans or, goals for... the environment. I always said, I just want him out, however it has to happen.
Right.
But what I meant by that was, like...
your pain...
That I would not, be in pain. I just meant, if you have to do a C-section, that's fine. Or, if I have to get an epidural, that's fine. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I didn't plan on getting an epidural that wasn't going to work.
Right, yeah.
So at some point... the nurse was kind of like, oh my gosh, it's time to start practice pushing. Mm-hmm. And so I did that for like an hour.
About an hour, yeah.
And then at some point she was like, okay, you need to stop now.
Yeah, I could see his head. And that was the point, I think, where she was like, okay, time to stop, because we needed to get the doctor in there.
Which only raised the level of panic, because I felt like I couldn't stop. Yeah. And so I just, the pain wasn't as big of a part of it at that point. Yeah. I think it was just that physically, it's like an inability to stop pushing. It's like... No, it's like crapping your pants or something. Like,
wow.
I've not done that as an adult.
Yeah,
but I'm assuming it's like, you just started and you can't stop.
Right, it's any kind of, like, bodily function where you're like, hey, I'm not going to be able to shut this off. Like,
right. So, I couldn't stop pushing, really. And so, my doctor is, like, suiting up, and it felt like she was taking forever to do that.
And they were bringing the whole, like, tray of things over.
I didn't get to see the tray, so you saw the...
Like hot water and the forceps and all the different things that,
Well, then it freaked me out, the part of them collapsing the lower part of the table so that I could scoot down and she could catch the baby. And... saying something like, okay, don't scoot down anymore because you'll fall off the table. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to balance, so many different things, like, literally.
Right, yeah.
Trying to stay
balance
on the table.
The end of the bed. And
and also, not push, even though I feel like I can't stop.
Right.
And then I feel like it was probably, only 10 or 15 more minutes of pushing to
get
him out.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 3 or 4 pushes, and his head was out, and then they had, like, another push or 2 for his, like, shoulder, and... Yeah, so then he was out, and, they put his slimy, gross body on me to do skin to skin. Immediately, yeah.
And I, was just coming out of the most extreme panic of my life.
Yeah.
So I just was, like, then worried about, dropping him because he felt slippery.
Mm-hmm.
And then, feeling her stitch me up. And then at some point, they took him to clean him up a bit and check him out, and he was fine, and, things were good, and I'm getting cleaned up, and then I'm like, oh, are you gonna put my IUD in? Yeah. Because that was one of the main requests was right after delivering, I would get an IUD in, because I'm not trying to do all of this again anytime soon. And they just forgot.
Yep.
So I did not get my IUD.
Nope.
So basically, nothing went according to plan, and but he came out, and he's good, and
you're good,
and I'm good,
even though things didn't go like we had thought they would. Like the one thing that I think is the most important worked out fine. Like you're both healthy and happy and good. And,
I did have a little bit of panic again, either that day or the next day, when someone was like, okay, and you wanted him circumcised, right? And I was like, no. Like, please, don't do one more thing that is against my wishes, please.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I don't know, against my wishes is kind of a weird way of putting it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he turned 3 weeks old today.
Yeah.
And, my recovery has gone really well. So everything is good and great.
Yeah, he's amazing. That's been my major conclusion of the last 3 weeks. It's really wonderful being a dad, and we spent a lot of time planning and thinking about this and what it would be like, and it's better than all of that.
Yeah. I mean, we're incredibly lucky that he's, so chill and easy right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to take some credit for that because, we are chill, and, I think that your vibes matter. But also, we've just been lucky that, he was about on time, and so we don't have to, monitor his weight a bunch, and the kid eats a ton, and so, it's a good problem to have that we're just like, dude, you need to slow down instead of, him not eating. And so, everything's going really well, and I'm so glad because I think, I was having a lot of anxiety about how this semester would go, independently of being pregnant and, thinking about what it was going to be like to have a newborn. But, I was telling you, I don't know, yesterday that I feel like, it doesn't seem like our lives have gotten harder because of him. Everything has been improved because of him.
For sure.
And it still feels like we're doing the things that we have to do.
That was going to be the next thing I wanted to check in with you about, was just so 3 weeks down of actual, being a parent and being a grad student, is it, have you noticed, a difference, or have you felt any, because I feel like my schedule is so flexible, and I have very few I'm teaching main class that I'm teaching for my grad program is online, so I don't have to be anywhere to teach. And how has it been for you? So far,
the first week that he was born, almost the entire week, I really just let myself enjoy him, and so I didn't really do anything. And even the second week, I started doing things again by the end of the first week, grading. But I didn't go to my seminars, for example. I did take a little bit of time away from going to campus. So the first week, it was really great because I just felt all I want to do is take care of him and, hang out with him and kind of wait around until he wakes up again.
Just look at him.
And, now it's there have been a couple of times where I'm kind of I want you to go to sleep so that I can just, get this one thing done. And, it's kind of nice because I haven't really... I haven't perfected this, but I feel like I'm working on it. He's, a reliable sleeper right now, for the most part. And so it's kind of if we hang out with him for an hour or up to 2 hours or whatever, he's going to go to sleep for, 2 to 3 hours. And then it's we need to hurry up to do a couple of things that we can get done in that time.
Right.
And so I guess I'm just starting to try to prioritize my time a little differently so that I still feel like I'm getting the tasks done that I need to get done. And I haven't started writing term papers for this semester, and that feels like it's going to be a little tricky. But I imagine it's going to go basically the way I just described, where I'm going to hang out with him while he's awake, and then when he goes to sleep, I will take advantage of that time to get the things done. So far it's been fine. The one thing that was horrible, getting back into the workflow, is that a big chunk of getting back into the workflow for me was grading that first exam for my students, which was a nightmare. And which, thankfully, my anxiety has been really, I think, under control lately, so that's good, but it kind of spiked it a little and made me feel badly because a lot of students did poorly and they were really, really upset about that. And, my first thought was kind of oh, I must have messed up.
Right.
And the reason I messed up is because I just had a baby, so I'm not thinking clearly or something. I'm impaired.
Right, the anxiety around grading, being a TA or, a grader and grading work, and then suddenly it's the students are upset and it might not be what the professor was expecting, and then it's oh, well, maybe I did something wrong. It's very easy, I think, to second guess yourself. And I don't know, virtually never is that second guessing, like, I think correct. I think you know, most grad students do have a sense, and, you know, you certainly did.
Yeah,
didn't
I mean,
grade them incorrectly once you...
Yeah, I mean, I went back and checked, and I don't, you know, I didn't make any huge changes that mattered to anyone, really, you know. But I think that, you know, a sort of something I expected and that this case sort of brought out for me is, like, oh yeah, how do I, you know, how do I see myself and act as, like, an academic and a TA and a mom, you know? Because I feel like all throughout my pregnancy, this dog, buddy, are you okay?
He's fine. He's just...
maybe he needs more water. Because he's acting like he's gonna... All right. Yeah, all throughout my pregnancy, I was just waiting for the moment when I would feel like, oh, I have pregnancy brain, you know? Like, it's easy to forget things, and I'm sort of foggy and, you know, not feeling like myself. And then feeling like, yeah, that's going to extend to, you know, postpartum life.
Right.
And I'm going to be extra tired and all this stuff. Like, I'm going to be mentally recovering, basically, from just having given birth. And so, you know, feeling like, oh, maybe I made mistakes with the grades was, like, extra alarming because I thought I felt fine.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, oh, well, maybe I'm not. You know? Like, maybe, like, I'm...
Part of your pregnancy brain was to not notice that you had pregnancy brain?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm deceived about this.
Yeah.
It turns out I'm fine.
Don't know you're in pain. Don't know you've got pregnancy brain.
Yeah, just awful. But anyway, yeah, I mean, for now things feel good, and I think in the coming weeks the thing I need to figure out is writing.
Yeah.
How about you? How's it been for you?
Similar. I think, you know, I've been, you know, trying to figure out ways to get the work done in smaller chunks of time. Which is hard with, like, a big project with something like the dissertation, but it's also, you know, something I've already had to work on. You can't write it in one go, so breaking it into pieces, and now just trying to break it into even smaller pieces. Yeah, I mean, I think right now he's still in the stage where it's not so bad in terms of, like, the amount of time that he takes up, and I think, you know, 6 months from now, ask me again, and assuming I have a job, I'll, you know, be able to speak to that more, but, yeah, I mean, I think it's just, we're at that point in the semester, too, where everything is, like, you know, either projects are, like, right in the peak of their, like, work phase, where it's like, oh, now I just have to write it, you know, kind of, or, you know, one set of deadlines is ending, you know, coming due, and then another set of deadlines will come due in, you know, a month or month and a half from now. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of very busy all the time. Yeah. But not differently busy from how things normally are, honestly. I think I just heard him. Yep. I think he's waking up.
Yep. Just good. It'd be nice to get some Arlo sounds on the podcast.
Do you want to go grab him and see if he's...
get him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just went and checked on him, and when I like turned on the lights just a little bit, very dimly, and I saw him look up at me, and then I, you know, bent down to look at him, and he closed his eyes real quick and kept them closed.
Wow. Okay.
So
Still asleep then?
I turned the lights off. And
okay. Let him sleep.
We'll let him, you know, let us know when he actually wants to get up.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, I mean, that's our update for now. You want to, anything else you wanted to talk about this time?
No. Maybe we can, we'll just figure out something to talk about in a couple of days and try to do this more regularly now that we actually have the baby.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So it's like, now the podcast is really, gonna be about what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah. We're parents in addition to having a thesis to write.
Yeah. I have 0 theses. So.
Well,
but yeah.
Soon enough, yeah. But yeah, also it'd be just like thinking about other kinds of topics and questions for grad students, and other plans for things that we could talk about that would be helpful. So
yeah,
sounds good.
All right.
Till next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.